Hi y'all, this is Daisy, and I wanted to do a video for you. I've tried to do it a few times now, and my stalker despises it. And he's an ass, so he tries to delete it. When I'm done making it, it doesn't process. We don't know why. It's really sad. It must be sad to be him. Okay, so now we've confirmed that it's a person that was born a man. I don't know how they identify. I've never asked them. I probably never will. Now, let's see. So, I'm going to tell you about skincare for people, respectfully, men and women, who want to spend under $15 for each product. And most of these products are under $10. Okay? And you can look at me and see that they work here. This thing's going to be a butt, I promise you. I'm not shadow banned. I think the guy is trying to give me his coding. Maybe he is. I'm not sure. But if you look here, you'll see that I have like no wrinkles under my eyes and no wrinkles on the side of my eyes. And no amount of frustration by the stalker seems to change that, which is sad. But you can see there's nothing under my eyes, nothing next to my eyes, right? Okay. Now, full disclosure, my mom is a woman of color. There's no disagreement about that. My mom is actually a fairly medium dark-skinned woman, and she identified to me as as half black. So I identify as 1/4 black, but not usually openly until after she died. That was just her personal choice for the rest of the family, because the rest of the family doesn't agree necessarily. I was born when she was 40, and by the time she was 40, she'd come to terms with a lot more of life and the way people feel about things. And my brothers and sisters were born in the 50s, and so they had a different upbringing with different identifications and different realities, and that's okay. It's okay. I don't ask them to think like I do about things, and they shouldn't really ask me to think like they do about things. But I try not to tell their inventory or speak for them, and I really do care about my family a lot. I know I sound a little bit judgmental sometimes of them, but that's because they've done some things to me that weren't very nice. However, I do still have a lot of affection for them, and I even love most of them, especially at a distance, but also sometimes up close. So, let me tell you about skincare. When we first moved to Texas, I was enamored of the water. I've always kind of been a fish, so whenever I get near the water, I would always go in the water. I've never been next to the water. I'm always in the water, okay? And this continued all the way up to now, basically, but also more when my kids were little, all the way up until they were out of high school. We swam all the time, basically, when we could. So I'll give you a little history. When I was and this has to do with beauty, so just hang in there, because as it turns out, just so you know, chlorine is really good for your skin. So if you have really intractable, like back knee or whatever, or you have like any kind of intractable problem, if you go swimming, if you go swimming every day for 3 months in chlorinated water, and you use clean bath towels and change your sheets every day and wash them in hot water, you will see a real improvement in your skin. I can promise you that. And maybe that's why I haven't had so many problems with my skin. I don't know. But, any kind of intractable thing can be cured by changing your routines, and that's something I always suggest to people in any situation, even though I've never had that myself, but still. So, let's start by talking about my history with skincare. When I was little, my mom enrolled me in a class that was not a Red Cross certified class. There was a daycare in my town, which is a little town outside of Randolph Air Force Base, and they have a building there that still exists today, and it had a pool in it, in the middle of it. There was classrooms around the outside and a pool in the middle, and you could go there for after-school care, right? But I didn't, because my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and I had a nanny, and my dad worked, and he was home by like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, but my friends did, and so I asked if I could go there for something, and she said, you can go for summer to try their swimming lessons. So I did. And there was about 8 or 10 girls or boys, both of us, all kinds of kids, and we were lined up against the side of the pool, and they would just take us by the backs of our suits and the waistbands of our clothes and throw us in the water. And it was about 5 to 6 feet deep, and none of us could touch, and it was really upsetting because we were all about 4, and I was little tiny when I was 4. I mean, I wore a 6X all the way up until I was 12, so I was little. I was a tiny girl. I'm only 5'5" now. And so I could swim naturally. I was like a naturally, what do you call it? I was given to swimming naturally, like a tadpole, but my friends were not, and so they would struggle, and I would have to help them to the side of the pool and give them a foot, a hand to help them out. And they would sit, and I would get in trouble, and I would have to sit out of the rest of the lesson then if I did that, because the whole point was to try to get them to survive, right? But they were actually drowning, and there were other women in the pool with us, but they weren't really helping everybody because there was like 10 kids. So there's like 3 women and 10 kids, and no one knew how to swim, and it was a mess, and it was upsetting, and I would be stressed out. And my mom, so sweet, I always get a little teary, but she asked me, "Are you okay?" One day when we were going to school, because she's like, "You don't seem to want to go to your swimming lessons, which is not like you." And I was like, "Well, they throw us in the pool." This is the apartment complex being asked, because there's a guy that just does this. It's not anything to do. Nothing is on fire. No one's cooking. It's the middle of the day. So they're just being a jerk. It's noise pollution. Anyway, so they would say, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So I would go and I would swim. And one day I told my mom about it. And she said, "I don't believe you." So she sent my brothers and sisters to check it out. And they were standing in the back in the dark. So it was like lit where the pool was. The pool itself was lit, and then around the pool there were lights, and then there was like a dark area with like curtains for like a stage type thing. And what they would do is they would cover up the pool, and you could like sit on top of it to watch stuff. But anyway, so it was an in-ground pool. It was like a huge pool, but still. So I jumped in. They threw me in. And I splashed in the water, and I'm fine swimming. I didn't need any help, right? But my brother just reached in and picked me up out of the water and put me outside the pool. And he's like, "You have to go get dressed. You're coming home with us, and you don't ever have to come back." And then they put me in the car, and they went back in and yelled at the people, and then we left. And they closed down soon after that part of the building. And they kind of used the swimming lessons for the after-school kids that could swim, but they didn't use it like that anymore. So, because they weren't really qualified to teach. And I felt kind of bad for them, because a lot of kids don't have access to the base and all those nice pools. But there were still some pools around town back then that were more public than they are today. So, anyway. So I started taking Red Cross swimming lessons when I was 5 years old, and I kept taking them all the way up through Advanced Life Saving 2. I never missed. I took 2 sets a summer, and I never missed a class, and I never missed a lesson, and I passed all the tests. And I became a certified lifeguard when I was 14 years old. And so that I was too little. Nobody would hire me. And so I went back and I took Advanced Life Saving 2. Well, it was 2. I took Advanced Life Saving 3, when you have to go like on a field trip to the ocean and save people, and you have to like pull people out that are struggling instead of just a nerd, and you have to do all these things. And they kept making up stuff for me to try to do, because they were trying to get me to like, give in or something. But I was like a Navy SEAL level swimmer at that point, and I wasn't going to give in. I could swim the base pool. I don't even know how big it was, the base pool, the big pool, but I could swim half of it underwater at a time. So I could swim the whole lengthwise pool in 2 breaths and a half, because I was just like a little fish. And you would go really fast, But anyway, it was really nice. And the guy at the pool that was lifeguard, he used to take, because one of the tests is you have to get a 10-pound weight, and you have to throw it in at least 15-foot deep water, and you have to go up and pull it up. And I only weighed like 80 pounds at the time. So it was like literally 1/8 of my body weight. But I just kept trying to do it. So I did it over and over and over and over and over. And the lifeguard would just throw it in the water for me, and I would go get it. And one time it landed on the drain, and I had to like use all of my weight to try to pull it. And I kept going back up and up and up. And he's like, "Do you want me to help you?" And I was like, "No, I can do it." And I got it off the drain and, took it back up to him. And that was like our game. So, I loved swimming. I used to do all of the things. And I was a certified lifeguard for probably until I got to college, and I went ahead and stayed abreast of all of the swimming things. And so whenever we went swimming with my friends, I would always be the lifeguard, and whenever we went swimming with my kids, I would always be the lifeguard. And I never really, and there was always another parent there just the same way. A lot of us in Central South Texas take lifeguard lessons, and so we never really had to be afraid. And I recommend them for anyone also. It has to do with beauty, don't worry. But I recommend them for anyone that has kids or wants to have kids, because it is really helpful these days, because everyone's afraid of liability. And so they always say swim at your own risk, and it's really too dangerous to do that unless you have a trained lifeguard around. And even then, any lifeguard that's sensible won't let you swim if the water is really dangerous, and they'll swim first to check it for you. So just be aware and always ask questions about who's around you, because not all are created equal, and it's really important to be as safe as you possibly can be. And there's no substitute for non-swimming supervision. So just make sure that whoever says they're a lifeguard is actually watching you and not like just fluffing around, and is fairly sober as well. So anyway, I wanted to tell you, so that's one reason why one of my favorite beauty products is zinc oxide. This is Bacitracin. It has 13% zinc oxide. That's pretty good. The zinc oxide you buy in the store at Walgreens has less. You can buy it for $5 in a little tube. Everything I buy is cheap because I am poor. But, if you can afford better, then that's fine. But you won't find anything that works better than zinc oxide for the summertime especially. It protects your skin from the sun. It keeps your nose skin from reacting to the sun, especially if you have something like rosacea or something similar. It keeps you from having breakouts in that way. Zinc is a healing mineral. If you put it on cuts and blisters, it helps your body repair itself under the surface, and it also will keep it clean and free of outside debris. So in a pinch, you can use it as a bandage. Just make sure it's clean and fresh, not the kind that your baby uses. Make sure you get your own, and that it's super and that you keep it covered. If you have an open cut, always cover it first and put cream on it if you choose to. Whatever your advice is, follow that. But my advice is always to use Bacitracin. And if you can't find a Band-Aid, to put zinc oxide on it if you can, or tape. And if you can find a Band-Aid, then do that. But anyway, the point is, zinc oxide has helped me. I usually put it on before I go to bed. Sometimes I wear it in like football stripes under my eyes, and I put it on around my face. You've seen them bright me here. And also, any kind of ultraviolet light can hurt your skin. So just make sure that you always protect it as much as possible by not touching it with your hands, because that brings more impurities to your skin than not. And use a Q-tip if you have to put anything on your skin, and use a tissue if you need to put any creams on your skin, for sure. So that's my best advice. What else was I going to say about that? Oh yeah, so zinc oxide is my major, I would say my most unusual beauty advice, I would have to say. It's hard to wash off. A lot of these products are hard to wash off. That's why they're not as popular too among people. So if you use a dot of the green Palmolive dish soap that doesn't have any harsher things in it like bleach or scouring bubbles or anything like that, just a dot of the Palmolive dish soap, it'll wash it all off of your face, and then you can pat your skin dry with a towel, fresh clean towel, and put on your moisturizer and continue on your day. If it makes you itch or you don't like it, don't use it. It's fine. Okay, it's not the only thing that works. It's just one of the things that works. It's not very expensive. What else? Oh, to cleanse my skin, speaking of which, as I said, a lot of these products have a lot of products in them, and so when you use them, you might need to take a soap product to wash them off. I don't use soap on my skin, but when I use this especially, which I'm going to get to in a second, I wash it off with a dot of the green Palmolive dish soap on my palm, and it works really, really well. And I haven't had any trouble with that at all. It's cheap. It's not very expensive. It's like $5 for 32 ounces, and it's super, super long-lasting. And you have to be careful, though. I'm not saying blanket dish soap is okay, because Dawn dish soap will really hurt your skin. Okay? Some dish soaps will really hurt your skin. And I've tried dish soaps like Ivory, before, and it also is too strong for my skin. But I'm allergic to Cetaphil and Physoderm. I mean, my skin is like, I don't know if you can see it, and my skin's like translucent. I look like the $5 million man doll. I don't know if you know what I mean. But anyway, it's bad. So I have to be careful. And you can see like veins, everything, my organs. It's crazy. So I don't really worry about what people think is trendy. I just do what works, and Cetaphil and Physoderm burn off my skin, so I don't use it. But I don't use anything with oatmeal in it, like Aveeno. But I have recommended it to other people because it's supposed to be highly recommended by people. So use it if it works for you. Whatever works for you. The point is, always start with a clean canvas before you apply any of these things. My normal soap is Pond's Cold Cream. I like to put it on my face and let it soak in, and then wipe it off or wash it off with a tissue. And that helps me a lot to keep my skin fresh and clean. When I was younger, I used Purpose soap once I hit puberty until about 25 years old, because then it got too expensive. It's about $5 from Johnson & Johnson, and it's, or $7.50 I guess now maybe, and it comes in a pump form that's clear, and it comes in a bar form. And just remember, with bar soap, always wash your bar soap before you wash yourself with it. Okay, treat it like a washcloth, you know. Your soap can fall in the sink, which is nasty sometimes. It can fall on the floor. It can fall anywhere. And you want to make sure, and you might not even know. Your kids might pick it up, put it back on the sink, and not even tell you. So just make sure that you wash your soap first, and then wash it with your face, okay? Never, ever, ever put anything on your face that you don't know for sure is 100% fresh and clean, ready to be used. During coronavirus, I mean, it's easy to get used to your own germs, and it's true that your own germs, even if you ingest them, they won't really make you sick. But it's still better to practice if you're going to use bar soap, because I know it's clean. And I'm not telling you to do something like old-fashioned, like put it in a stocking or anything, because even that gets dirty, y'all. No method is 100%. So wash your soap, then wash your soap, then lather up your hands and wash your face if you use a bar version. Otherwise, my advice won't be any good, and it'll be sad. So I use the Green Pond's Cold Cream to wash myself and my face, and I love it. It's worked for a long time. It is a cleanser, and I also use Noxema, which has about, I think, 10% zinc oxide, and not very much really, because it has to still be rinsable, and it's not in favor now, but I really like it, and I recommend it to teenagers especially. But you have to make sure and get it all the way off your face. Everything has to be completely off your face. There's a reason why they used to say squeaky clean. Like if you rub your skin like this and do this to your fingers, if you feel anything on your hands, then your skin isn't clean. Remember I said don't touch your face. You have to be judicious about it. I would try under your neck, or like right under your hairline or something, just to check. But do check, or use a washcloth or a paper towel. Anything like that will help. So if you need acne cream and you don't have a lot of money, I would say my favorite one is Bacitracin or Tricitracin. I dab a little bit of it on a pimple, and I never pop my pimples, y'all. Your body creates whiteheads. It will reabsorb them if you let it, or it will pop by itself. You don't have to pop it. If you choose to, you can take a straight pin and light it with a lighter for a minute, let it cool, and then without touching anything else, gently tap the top of the whitehead and it should open up. But I wouldn't even do that. Usually what happens is if you keep antibiotic ointment on it, it will naturally reabsorb into your skin, okay, and be processed out by your bloodstream in the same way that any other impurity would be that gets through your skin barrier. But that's not the popular advice, obviously, and I mean, you can take it with a grain of salt if you want to. It's just what worked for me. A lot of people can't tolerate the gooiness of Bacitracin. That's sad, because it's very, very, very effective. Neosporin, I mean, I'm allergic to sulfa, and Neosporin might work for you. It doesn't work for me, but it does speed up fungal infections and things like that if you get those on your body or wherever. Make sure that you know what you're, the most important skincare advice is know what you're treating before you treat it, okay? So you want to take anything that happens that's unusual to your doctor and show it to them. If you can't do that, then try Ask a Nurse or any one of the online forums that have reputable people where you can post pictures and try to see what that is before you treat it. Because you could waste your time and your money, and there's not a lot of money out there for buying things like this, so you want to make sure and use the right stuff, okay? But in general, if you want to have something to put in your medicine cabinet, I would say Bacitracin, maybe some Lotrimin, maybe some, what's it called, Neosporin, I guess, if it works for you, and some clean bandages, and that's gauze, and that's pretty much all that you really need to have to keep yourself healthy when you're a teenager, okay? I know it's important that you want to look good, and I know you want to cover up all of these problems and make them go away. And Clearasil does have a tinted cream that's pretty nice, but by and large, the best thing to do is to use one of these things and just go with it for 24 hours. Sleep in it. If you need to, you can put it on when you get home and keep it on until you leave for school the next day. But don't be trying to cover it up with something that's going to hurt your skin, okay? The good thing about this stuff is it doesn't hurt your skin. The bad thing is people can see it, so you have to decide for yourself. Sometimes in the summertime when it's 1,000 degrees out, I'll go ahead and put this on my nose because I don't care. But, I mean, you know, when you have to work in the office, maybe you want to get makeup. Like Mary Kay makes a foundation that has zinc oxide in it. It's very effective. It's like a cream powder foundation. If you look at the ingredients, oxide should be one of the very first ingredients that you use in your makeup if you're trying to block out the sun and have more porcelain type skin, or if you want to have fewer freckles and things. I have tons of freckles. I love my freckles. Sometimes I even add more on with an eyebrow pencil. But I also like the paleness that I got during coronavirus, and I try to keep that a lot. So today I'm just wearing foundation. I'm wearing primer and foundation and lipstick and mascara and eyebrow pencil. And I'm not wearing any kind of zinc oxide under my skin. So you can still sort of see the human imperfections there. But you know, it's not about being perfect. So that's cleansing. Did I cover cleansing enough for you? So if you need a more alcohol-based cleanser, for whatever reason you may think that you need that, I would recommend Dove soap or Purpose soap from Johnson & Johnson, Cetaphil, Physoderm, and I would recommend, what else? Diluted witch hazel to dab on your T-zone if you feel like that helps you. Especially in the summertime, it can be very refreshing. And what else? That's very cheap. It's like $1 at the grocery store. And what else? There's something else I just thought of. Oh, I have something else to show you, but I don't know where it is. This is a funny story. Hold on, let me go get it. Time out. What did I do with it? This one's good. No way. Okay. Well, I don't see it, y'all. Sorry, I don't see it, but let me tell you what it is. It's Aloe Vera Gel, and it is mostly alcohol. And I used to drink it a long time ago. So I know when I was a kid and also when I was older and even in my adult years, but it's aloe vera gel that you can buy from the grocery store. It's a blue color, and the first ingredient is denatured alcohol, and the second ingredient is lanacane. So if you need something and you want to have something cooling to put on in the summertime, I would recommend that dabbed on your skin underneath your, under your ears, behind your neck, under your arms, in all of the crevices that are hot or whatever you're feeling, like prickly heat. It's a great help for that kind of thing, especially if you're poor. And witch hazel helps in all situations as an astringent for all those T-zone problems that people have that pop up, okay? And I have had those, even though my mom was 1/4 black. I still had some breakouts here that I have some scarring from, and I also have had shingles and stuff on my face, so don't worry about that. So that's one thing I would recommend, and I don't know where mine went. I had it here. I usually keep it in the fridge. It's the one product I used to drink that I keep around fairly frequently, okay? The other thing I would recommend as far as just basic skincare goes are some supplements, which I'll make a whole nother video about, but real quick, one of them is vitamin C. You put some vitamin C tablets in your hand, you take a spoon and you mash them up, and then you mix them with some distilled water or some purified water and splash it on your face. Then you will feel your face brightening and tightening up as if you were using a super expensive cream. And the pills are maybe $8 for 30, so it's a great deal. And of course you can also drink your vitamin C, and you can eat your vitamin C. But I tend to stay away from orange juice because it used to be a big mixer for me. One thing I do swear by though is a glass of tomato juice every day if I can. I drink big glasses of things, y'all. So like a glass of tomato juice every day. Any tomato sauce or chopped tomatoes, diced tomatoes, anything like that that has a lot of resveratrol in it. If you can get that through green tea, black tea, tomatoes, wine, grapes, anything like that, that's very good for your skin, and I've always intaken a lot of that. So that's a quick thing to say, because to segue into it, I never use serums. For my wrinkle creams, I use this as my soap now, I should say. This is the Jergens you can buy from Walmart. It's about $10. This is about $12, I think. But usually it's under $5 for the small size, okay? And it has as its main ingredients mineral oil, water, beeswax, alcohol, magnesium, and fragrance. So good job, Walmart. Love this stuff. And it does a great job of taking off your makeup, let it sit on your skin, take off your makeup, and it even moisturizes you a little bit. But do wash it off if you need to. If you have breakouts, go ahead and still take off your makeup with an oil-based product to soothe your skin. And baby oil works really well for me for that. Johnson & Johnson baby oil I'm a big proponent of. And but do, keep an eye on whatever works for you as far as the balance between oil and water on your skin. Too much oil will lead to breakouts. Too much water will lead to sort of a diluted effect on any product that you use at all. These are serums. So I just got these when my mom died because I know she wants me to take care of my skin. And I have had retinol before, but when I was first working, I had really good medical insurance, and I had a little bit of rosacea problems. I still get rosacea blackouts like once every 5 years. So it's really weird. But you know what those are if you have them. You get little capillaries showing up in your skin, which fade away sometimes for some people. Some people they don't, so take it with a grain of salt. If yours don't, it's okay. And you get maybe some inflammation on your nose. Like your nose might get a little bigger here, width-wise, especially if you're a man. Go ahead and try to treat that as soon as you notice it with some products from your doctor. Go ahead and ask them, even if you're a guy, because guys can get a lot out of. If you're a guy, I would recommend the Johnson & Johnson Purpose Soap, a good moisturizer of your choice that works for you, and I would recommend. I would use baby oil with a cotton ball on your dry skin around your face, okay? Before you go to bed, especially on your eyes and your under eye area, dot it with a cotton ball, and blink a lot to keep it out of your eyes. And it helps your eyelashes too, especially if you have mites or whatever in your eyelashes, which a lot of people do if they're poor. No shame, y'all. Just treat it. It's fine. And then put some on your lips before you go to sleep. If you're a guy, it's very helpful. Okay, you have the advantage of all those nice eyelashes and those eyebrows and stuff, so you need to oil those up. Vastly intensive care is good for men and women, which I'll get to in a second. But I was also going to say retinol, because retinol, if men, you use it on your forehead, use it on your nose, you use it on your chin, or the sun hits, even if you're wearing sunglasses, it's still so much better for you to go ahead and treat that the second that you notice that you need to treat something, go ahead and do it. No shame in asking for all these great men products that they have now. But remember, you pay a markup for a label. So I'm giving you things that don't have label markups. And I'm also trying to give you really good advice. So all the supplement advice I give you is great for any gender, and most of the beauty products I give you are also gender free, okay? You can use zinc oxide on your face if you're a guy. Don't be ashamed to just use it as a sleep mask when you go to sleep, especially under your eyes like a football player, or when you're playing sports. If you feel like it, you can use the black zinc oxide that they make specially for that, or for hunting, and you can use the regular kind too. It's still very healthy for you either way. And remember, when you're older, you may be a widower, you may be a divorcee, you may have some issue that, maybe you didn't get to get married right away and you want to look your best. So go ahead and do that. Even if you're in your 50s or 60s now, it's not too late. You still have lots of time ahead of you. Right? This is hyaluronic acid serum, which I had never tried before, and I still don't really use that often, but evidently it's supposed to be really great. So I put it on my smile lines, which I kind of have here, and I put it, in my little forehead wrinkles this way, and it helps me, I guess. I haven't really noticed a difference, but it's supposed to be a very popular thing. It's one of the only trendy things I do, really. Salicylic acid. Now that helps with blemishes if you can find 100% salicylic acid. Clinique makes a pen that's like a long silver, like a lip gloss looking thing, but it's salicylic acid, and you can dot it on your blemishes. For men and women, that's really helpful. But just make sure it's worth buying. If it has 10%, it's probably not enough. You need to keep looking until you find a product that has 15-20% or more. This is retinol serum. I used to use 100% retinol for about 3 or 4 years, and I like to think it kind of stopped my sun damage from developing from when I was younger, because when I was younger, I used to go to Canyon Lake and water ski all the time, and I would, starting from about 12 to about 15, and I would use sunscreen, but because I was in the water all the time, it would get washed off, and I wasn't able to really reapply it as much, and so I would get blisters like this that were bubbling on my skin, which is crazy, and I would end up with sunburns, right? And they would fade because of all my swimming. I guess it's hard to explain. When you swim all the time, you kind of always have a base tan, even if you're porcelain skinned. So I always had like a farmer's base tan kind of swimsuit tan thing going on. And so it wasn't too bad. And they faded to darker tan, but still, I was expecting about 20 years after any tan, you will see the sun damage. And you can say, oh yeah, that's, Canyon Lake, 1985 or whatever. But usually it goes away with the right treatments if you're lucky. And if you're not lucky, it's okay, because usually sun damage looks pretty sexy on people, I personally think. So this is retinol serum. And for me, it did actually help erase those kinds of tiny little lines that showed up when I was 25, because I started using it when I was 30, and I used it until I was 35, and that was like evidently the golden years, right? But I'm expecting all this sun damage to show up soon, which is why I wanted to make these videos now, because I already have like some marks around my lips from vaping, and I have some, different kinds of thought lines that you can see appearing and disappearing in my forehead, and I know that they're going to stick longer around, one day, when I can't afford to drink a gallon and a half of water anymore. I boil water, though, here, if I can't buy the purified water, and it works really well. But, what else? Oh, but my main advice is water. Drink it, swim in it, live in it, love it, okay? The other, as clean and filtered as possible, water, for sure. If you smell your water and it smells like anything at all, do not drink it. Get yourself some better water, boil it, do something to it. Make sure that you're not ingesting anything that's not right, okay? And also think about that when it comes to coffee and tea, because that's what the water that you start with. So it really does matter. Drink your coffee and your tea, though, because that's really good for your skin as well, believe it or not. Look to your hormones. Think about your balance between estrogen and testosterone. Think about your balance between alkaline and acid. Think about your a number of, the amount of fried foods that you're ingesting. Always watch that, because that's a big contributor, and you'd be surprised why though. Listen, because my main soapbox is that you don't get a lot of benefit from putting things on your skin. You get a lot of benefit from putting things in your belly. And even then, you don't get that much benefit from that either, because it has to be more of a lifestyle than a daily thing, okay? It's hard to explain. What happens with your body is, in general, in my view, and it might be flawed, so go ahead and correct me, but your body's like a balloon, right? You pour water into the balloon, the water sits in the balloon, and then your body turns it over and pours the water out of the balloon. The water doesn't really leave the balloon that much. Most of what you put in your body goes out of your body. So the same is true for any kind of food type product. That includes supplements and things like that. Now, you have to be aware that anything you put on your face is more likely to get into your bloodstream because, well, I mean, most of us by this stage know how to get things into our bloodstream. But the face around your skin, your cheeks are more porous, and it leads to your tongue. Your tongue is a direct hit to your bloodstream, and that will help you. So anything that you can take that's not, it's like an oil or a teaspoon type liquid type thing will get absorbed faster than a capsule, which may not get absorbed at all for all we know. You have to go by how you feel and make sure it's not just a placebo effect, is what I'm saying. Don't throw money after placebos, okay? So what I was saying about water is it looks like what you put in, you get out, right? However, over time, there is kind of a detoxifying effect that happens. Now, I'm not saying you have to drink 64 ounces a day if you don't want to, but if you can drink as much as you're comfortable drinking, you will void out as much as you drink in, but you will also see that your body is more ready to flush out things because it's used to not holding on to stuff, and that is where the benefit comes, and not from any kind of actual, like, gut bloodstream connection necessarily, in my view. But a lot of people disagree with me. So that's why I don't really recommend stuffing yourself full of green vegetables if you don't want to. And I don't recommend avoiding fried foods if you don't want to, because you're going to age anyway. You know, we're all going to be old people dying in the hospital eventually, and you're going to want to have the kind of life that you want to look back on, and the skin is only a certain part of that, right? You can pass on good genes to your kids without looking fantastic yourself when you're older. If you want to have fun, it's fine. It doesn't matter. No one's going to judge you if you live a life full of fun and have, you know, sort of like, what would you call it, like windburned skin, like a mountain climber. It's like, that's fine. Go ahead, do that. I love that. But if it's not for everybody, it's not for everybody, and that's okay. It doesn't make you vain, in other words, because remember, a lot of people don't understand that the barrier to skin, when your barrier to skin breaks, it can cause infection, which can lead to sepsis, which can kill you. A lot of homeless people die that way. Okay? That's the same way that we're talking about when we talk about putting bacitracin on a cut when you're 4 and putting a Band-Aid on it. That's the way that you might die when you're like 85 or 90 because of bed sores or whatever. So not caring about the quality of your skin barrier is a life-threatening thing. And it's a sign, sometimes of mental illness, and sometimes it's a sign that you need a better situation or that you need more help. So if you're poor enough to be in that kind of a situation where you actually have wounds that you need wound care for, go get that from a qualified professional. Seek free medical care as often as possible until that gets healed. Don't chafe it, don't cover it up with anything, and do ask for professional help as soon as possible, because I cannot emphasize enough how important that is. Mutations can happen from skin breakage. You can get any kind of new cell growth can cause a mutation, which can lead to cancer. You can have hereditary skin cancer and not realize it. So all of these things are very important. Skincare for the poor is not a subject I take lightly. It's very important to me. So what else? Oh, in the wintertime, I recommend coating your skin with a light coating of this. Now, I drink so much water that I can put stuff on my skin and it just kind of sits there. I wish I could show you, but I was afraid that the one time I'll try. But let's see. If I put this on my nose, for example, okay, it's going to look glossy. You see how it looks glossy? Right? Okay, now if I had sand or if I had smoke and I blew it on my nose right here, it would turn this gray, the Vaseline gray, but the smoke and the tar and the air pollution wouldn't get to my skin. Truth, okay? And at the end of the day, if I washed it off, let's see this one. At the end of the day, if I washed it off, I would see dust and dirt and lint and gray, filthy. If you looked at me, you might see it sitting on my skin. You would see like gray dirt and smoke and tar and impurities and all kinds of things from the roads and stuff just walking around. And I would get this blown on me and it would just sit here, right here, and it would just be. But it wouldn't touch my actual skin because of this. And at the end of the day, when I washed it off, the water would be gray or black, depending on the amount of impurities, but my skin would still look like this. Okay? It's magic. It's like Vaseline magic. So if you live in an area like Buffalo, New York, or North Dakota, South Dakota, Colorado for sure, Missouri, anywhere where there's a lot of dust, dirt, tar, salt, freezing, sleet, and cold that chaps your skin, put this on your skin before you go outside. A good 5 minutes before you go outside. And when you get to work, just take a paper towel, wipe it off, and put on your makeup. You might have to have a lighter makeup winter, okay? But you will love the effects of it, I can promise you. Nothing else saves your skin like this. No mufflers, no hats, no face masks, nothing will keep your skin from getting chapped like this product does. Even though it might be bad for the environment, I'm sorry about that. And if you're not, I'm allergic to coconut oil. So if you're not allergic to coconut oil, they have different formulations. They have a brown one that has coconut oil and a green one. I don't know what it has in it, but probably aloe vera. But this one is the one I use, and it's the classic one, and it's great. And I cannot emphasize enough. I used this when I was in school in Boston, and I never had chapped skin, okay? I used it in Colorado. I used it on my babies. I used it all the time. And when I didn't, my kids would get really bad chapped skin because my family is prone to that, which some families are because my skin's really delicate. But if you go ahead and use it, you'll see